What if faith isn't something we add to life, but the rhythm that holds it together? Not a single act or moment, but a steady undercurrent beneath everything else. Faith isn't always after a sermon or a whispered prayer before bed. Sometimes it's how you carry yourself when no one sees, how you choose kindness over reaction, how you keep showing up, even when it's quiet, even when no one claps, even when you don't feel strong. Maybe this week wore you down. You've been pouring out more than you received. You've been holding it together, not because you had peace, but because there was no time to fall apart. And even in that, faith was there, not as loud declarations, but in the silent moments of choosing to begin again, choosing to breathe, to stay, to hope. It's in the pause before you speak, the restraint not to give up on yourself, the sigh in the middle of a traffic light, when you remember you're tired, not broken. This is faith, not something you need to chase, but something you've already lived without realizing. Maybe you didn't pray every morning. Maybe you didn't read anything sacred. Maybe you yelled more than you wanted, or doubted more than you admitted. Still, faith stayed, because faith doesn't need to be perfect to be real. It just needs to be honest, present, returning. It's the rhythm beneath your exhaustion, the whisper beneath your overthinking, the pulse that gently says, "You're not alone. Keep going." There's something holy about the ordinary, about the way we wake up and try again, about the way we love in small ways, forgive without applause, and breathe through discomfort. Faith is not always found in miracles. Sometimes it's found in routine, in making the bed, in closing your eyes, in taking one more step forward, simply because hope matters. And yes, maybe this week was heavy, but even heaviness has its rhythm, even here. Grace is moving, so let yourself slow down. Let the noise fade for a moment, let your shoulders drop. You don't have to carry it all into the weekend. Let the zen of work be a return, not to pressure, but to peace, not to perfection, but to presence. Let it be the sound of your own heartbeat reminding you that you're still here, still held, still allowed to rest, because faith doesn't always shout. Sometimes it hums beneath the surface, a rhythm steady enough to hold you, even when everything else feels fragile. This is your invitation to stop chasing and start trusting, to let go of the week's weight, and just be here. Faith isn't what we escape to, it's what we return to. The breath you just took, that's enough. The quiet, thank you, that's enough. The stillness right now, that is sacred. Let that be your rhythm. Let that be your peace. Let that be enough. Some people think faith has to be loud, big, impressive, drenched in certainty. But what if faith is quieter than that? What if it lives in your small decisions, the ones no one else notices? Like how you keep showing up, even when you feel unseen. How you keep loving, even when the love isn't returned in the way you hoped. It's in how you make space for someone else's voice, even when yours feels unheard. How you let go of needing to control everything, just for a moment. And trust that the world won't fall apart if you rest. That's faith, not the kind that demands to be proven, but the kind that quietly anchors you while everything else shifts, because life is always shifting, isn't it? The plans we made change, the people we leaned on pull away, the answers we thought we had suddenly feel blurry, and still, there's a rhythm beneath the chaos. Still, there is a pulse of grace, keeping time with your breath. You don't have to feel strong to be faithful. You don't have to feel ready to be worthy. Faith is not about being unshakable. It's about remembering that even when you shake, you're still held. And maybe that's what this moment is for. Not to fix everything, not to get it all right, but to remember, to return, to breathe. Let the pressure fall from your shoulders. Let the ache soften, if only a little. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are still in motion, still being shaped by something sacred that doesn't depend on your performance. This is a sacred rhythm, to pause, even briefly, and say, God, I'm here. And that has to be enough. Not because you have all the right words, not because your week went perfectly, but because faith was never about perfection. It was always about presence. Let this moment be a quiet return. Let it mark the end of a week, not by what went wrong, but by what endured. You endured. You kept going when it was easier to disconnect. You kept hoping when it would have been safer to go numb. You kept faith, not loudly, maybe, but faithfully nonetheless. Let that count. Let that be seen. By the only one who truly sees, you're allowed to start again, not tomorrow, not next week, but now, in this breath. Let this moment be sacred, not because it's extraordinary, but because you showed up to it. That is enough. As the week winds down, we often replay everything we could have done differently, the missed moments, the sharp words, the things left unsaid. But let me ask you this. What if grace remembers what we forget? What if heaven isn't tallying your failures, but gently gathering your efforts? Not to judge, but to hold them with kindness. You are not your missteps. You are not the weight of your regrets. You are the courage that tried again. You are the quiet faith that whispered prayers between tasks. You are the stillness that paused. Even when everything in you wanted to rush through, that matters. So here we are, another week behind us, another chance to begin again. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Let this be your gentle reminder. Faith is not a weekend event. It's not something you were only on Sundays or dust off in moments of crisis. Faith is a rhythm, a living, breathing rhythm, woven into each pause, each step, each whisper of gratitude. It's found in the way you rise, in how you listen, in the kindness you offer when no one is watching. It's in your routines, not despite their simplicity, but because of it, because God never asked you for grand gestures. He asked you to show up, honest, open, real. He asked you to keep returning. And when you do, when you pause to breathe, to pray, to remember, you're not starting over. You're stepping back into rhythm. So as this week closes, don't rush into the next. Stay here a little longer. Let this be a sacred pause between what was and what's coming. Let this be your space to say, God, I may not have done everything right, but I kept showing up and I'm still here. And maybe that's the most sacred thing of all, that you're still here, still breathing, still seeking, still choosing faith, even when it's quiet, even when it's hard, even when it's just a whisper. This is the kind of faith that changes things, softly, steadily, silently. And if this moment touched your heart, take a second to let us know in the comments. Faith is my rhythm. Subscribe so you never walk alone. Turn on notifications and come back anytime your soul needs rest. And always remember, no matter where you are, we walk together in faith.